Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. This video we're going to be talking about Legion blocks. So what blocks you need to do in what order, why they're important, and how the Legion system works in general as well. Maybe send this to a friend who's playing the game and is kind of new, or maybe this video will help you out with the upcoming Hyperburn on November 20th, so you know how to get your Legion all together. So if you don't know what Legion is, basically Legion is a system that rewards you for playing other characters in the game. If you open your Legion tab, you could either set it to a keybind or on the bottom right, you could use one of the hotkeys to open up your Legion. You'll see this big grid and it might seem a little bit confusing, but basically there are different areas on this grid that give you different buffs, and you unlock more of the grid the higher your total Legion is. So your Legion board, when you open it, the UI will look kind of like this, but obviously it won't say 10,000 for most people. But what this 10,000 means is it means the total accumulation of the top 42 characters on your account equals 10,000 or whatever number it is. It only counts the top 42 highest level characters on your account. Let's say you have 50 characters on your account, only the 42 highest level ones will make your Legion level. And this Legion level allows you to place more blocks down onto the grid. It gives you more of something called raid power on the right, and this raid power generates coins for you, which you can use to buy things from the Legion shop, like 2x coupons, Mason amplifiers, drop coupons, damage buffs, flames, a lot of different stuff. So essentially, the more characters you have on your account that are really high level, the stronger your total account becomes, because the stats you get from Legion are applied to every single character on your account. So now the next question is, which characters should you do in what order that gives you the most amount of damage as efficiently as possible? So I made a previous video in the past saying you can get 8,000 Legion without training. And in this video, I talked about how because there are so many events these days that give you an item called Extreme Growth Potion or something similar to an Extreme Growth Potion, you don't even have to train your characters past 130 anymore. They just get to level 200 basically on their own. Now, why is level 200 so significant on getting these characters across your account? The reason why level 200 is important is because as you level up characters, the block itself, each character has a different block that gives you a different effect, gets more and more potent. It gets stronger and stronger the higher the character level is. So you can see here the different class archetypes: warrior, mage, archer, thief, and pirate. There are different ranks of blocks based off of what level the character is: B, A, S, double S, and triple S. So double S, the blocks become this shape when they're level 200. When the character is level 200, you get essentially 4 pieces that you can place onto the grid. So the reason why you want to get characters to 200 is because you can fill up the grid more efficiently. There are only so many blocks that you can place down. If the blocks are bigger, that means you can fill up more of the board with less blocks. You can see here that the rank B block is between level 60 and 99. It's a little bit different for 0. 0 is a little bit special. Rank A is between 100 to 139. Rank S is between 140 to 199. And rank double S is between 200 to 249. And rank triple S is level 250 and above. So level 250 is the maximum size you can get for whatever given block. But level 200 is usually what people aim for because it's not too hard to get given the event resources, and you could fill up a massive amount of your grid just by getting characters 200. Now, does that mean you want to get all your characters 200 immediately? No, not necessarily. You can work your way up, and this is the way that I would recommend doing it. When you're first starting this game, I would recommend getting characters level 70, then getting them to level 100, then getting them to level 140, and then you could just leave them at level 140 until you get the event resources as you play over time, and naturally they'll get to 200 just from those event resources, which I'll have a video about linked below because I made a whole video about getting characters to 200 just through event resources. So we know that Legion system requires you to get a bunch of characters higher level and you place them on this grid and you get more stats. Just want to make sure that you guys know that these inner grids can be changed. So if you click on it, you can change the stat to whatever it is so that it's easier to connect the outer grids together with optimal stats in the middle. A lot of people actually didn't know this. Whenever I change my inner grid on stream, people are like, wow, I'm level 280 and I just figured this out. Like, it's crazy, so I wanted to show that real quick. Other thing is that once you're placing the blocks, you have to start from the middle. You can't just place them on the outside. You have to start from the middle and work your way out. The outer grids have the best stats, so you have to start from the middle and work your way out. And all of the blocks have to connect together. So they have to be touching a block, and then they have to have some sort of path to the middle, or else it won't work. There's actually this website that is very, very, very useful that you can use to solve your Legion for you. You don't even have to think about what blocks you need to place and in what order to do it optimally. So I use this all the time. All it requires you is to fill in what blocks you have, how many spaces you want filled in, how many characters you can have, and then you just press start and it'll automatically place down all the blocks for you, and you just have to copy it on your page in game. And of course, this will be linked down below. Super, super useful tool. So I made this tier list on training characters to level 200. Now, I know previously I said you don't really train characters to 200, but if you do end up training characters to 200, I've trained every class in the game to 200 multiple times. So this is just my opinion on my experience on certain classes that I was training them to 200 on. So if I were to have a Terror Burn coupon, I would probably use it on any of the classes at the bottom here, because for me, I didn't really like training them. Aran, Battle Mage, Blade Master DB, Blaster, Cannon Master, Hayato, Ilium, Kaiser, Mercedes Phantom. They all had stuff about them that I really didn't like while training them to 200, whether they moved around slowly, whether their mobbing didn't have really good vertical hitbox or a big hitbox in general, or maybe they didn't do too much damage. Some combination of all of those things made me not like training them. And then everything that's good enough or easy AF, like if you end up training it, I'm sure it's not going to really be a big deal. So you could screenshot this, maybe use it as a tool. So if you end up wanting to Terror Burn something to 200, you can save yourself some time. Now, remember earlier I said how different classes have different Legion block effects. So that means that some classes are more important to get to 200 than others because they give you better stats. Like, for example, Shade gives you crit damage, which is way, way, way more important than Demon Slayer that gives you abnormal status resistance. So I made this other tier list, and it shows which classes I think are the most important to get to level 200 as early as possible. Now, as you're playing this game, the first things you should be doing are your link skills. So a lot of these characters you might already have on your account because you did your link skills. If you don't know what link skills are or which ones you should do, I will have it linked down below as well. I have a whole video on that, and they're very, very, very important. One of the first things you should do on this game. But the reason why I have it ordered this way, I mean, we'll go through every single class and what they do. So the classes that are in the top 3 tiers, highest priority, important, and useful stats, are stats that are useful for every single character in general. Whereas the ones below are just very specific to what your main is, because these strength characters, they give you strength. And if you're playing mage, then they're not as important. You don't really need them. You would want to do the int characters because that's what you use. But these highest priority, important, and useful stats are something that everybody should do because they're very useful towards your progression. So the highest priority ones are Shade, Hayato, Kana, Demon Avenger, Phantom, Mercedes, and Zero in my opinion. Shade and Hayato give you crit damage, which will increase your damage a massive amount. Kana and Demon Avenger give you boss damage, which is very, very good for bossing. Phantom gives you meso percent obtained, so it's really good for training. Mercedes gives you cooldown reduction, so it makes all of your cooldowns come back up a little bit faster, and it's really, really, really good. Like, you notice the difference. And Zero gives you EXP obtained. So these are very important to get out as quickly as possible because they give you a lot of damage or meso or XP that make your training way better. Now, for some of the important blocks, Wild Hunter gives you essentially damage percent, so it makes you stronger, which is really good. Lin gives you IED. Blaster also gives you IED, so it's very important for bossing. Marksman and Nightlord give you crit rate. If your class doesn't need crit rate, then this is lower priority. But for most people, I would say it's pretty important to get these because crit rate is very, very, very important to have. And Mechanic gives you buff duration, especially if you play a class that needs buff duration like Kaiser or Explorer Mage. Mechanic is very, very important. So some useful stats are like Corsair and Aran, where Aran gives you like HP recovery and Corsair gives you summon/minion duration. So if you play a class like Shadower or Nightlord that have Dark Flare, it'll just make that skill last a little bit longer. And a lot of these rest of the blocks are just stats. So it depends on what your main is. If you're a Kali main, then all of these luck blocks are more important than the int blocks. If you're a Blaze Wizard main, then all of the int blocks are what you would be doing instead of like the dex blocks. If you play Bowmaster, then you would be doing the Dex blocks and the Strength blocks. So what you want to know is you want to know what your main stat is. So if your main stat is Dex, you do all of the Dex blocks. But because Dex mains, their second main stat is Strength, you would want to also do all of the Strength blocks. So most classes in this game have a secondary main stat. So you have your main stat, like if you're an arc, it would be Strength, but then you would have your secondary stat, which would be Dex. If you're a mage, your secondary stat is luck, and if you're a thief, your secondary stat is Dex, but certain thieves like Shadower and Dual Blade have a tertiary stat, which is Strength. And then at the bottom here, it says other. So Xenon is very, very important because it gives you strength, dex, and luck, but I couldn't put it in 3 tiers. Dark Knight gives you HP, so if you're a Demon Avenger, it's important. Demon Slayer gives you abnormal status, which isn't that important. Dawn Warrior gives you HP. Fire Poison gives you maximum MP. Mihal gives you HP, and Evan gives you MP recovery. Actually, I'm going to move Evan up here for useful stats. MP and HP recovery are pretty good in my opinion. Now, these are just for Legion blocks, right? But a lot of these characters have very important link skills. So for example, even though Demon Slayer is at the bottom here and the block gives you abnormal status resist, because Demon Slayer has a very, very strong link skill, level 210 link skill with boss damage, that means it's very important to get it to high level. So if we factor in link skills and Legion blocks, this is basically the order in which I would get characters to 200 on a brand new account that I think is either the most efficient or very close to max efficiency and most optimal. This is what you're looking for most people probably watching this video. Now, the reason why certain characters like Evan, for example, is so important, even though over here, if we were just basing it off blocks, Evan wasn't at the highest tier, is because the Evan link skill is like the most important link skill. It makes rune duration much longer once you get to 210. So Evan, 210 link is very important. Mercedes, the block and the 210 link is very important. Demon Avenger, 210 link and the block is important. Hido and Shade, the blocks are important. Phantom, the link and the block is very important. Lin, same thing, link and block are very important. Demon Slayer, the link skill is very important, but the block isn't important. Luminous, link skill is very important. AB, link skill is very important. And then these next characters, 200, the link skill isn't very important, but their Legion block is very important, so you'd want to get them to 200 next. Zero for XP, Wild Hunter for damage, Night Lord and Marksman for crit rate, Kana for boss damage, Blaster for ID, Mech for buff duration, Corsair for minion duration, and Aran for HP recovery. And then the rest are literally just stat blocks, and you would do them as you need them based off of whatever your main stat is. And just a reminder, this is the other tier list for what your main stats are. And if you got all the way to this part of the video, I want you to say the word Evan. I want you to say the word Evan because that's the most important character to get to 210 first. Obviously, if you have any questions, of course, leave a comment below. I read all the comments and I try to respond to every single one that I can. This is the way that I would go about it on a brand new account. I would really try and highly prioritize getting these level 3 links as quickly as possible. You could do them through event resources. You don't even have to train them. And if this video helped you out, maybe consider helping me out by subscribing or sharing the video, coming to my Twitch channel where you can watch and ask whatever you want and have a good time. That all being said, though, have a wonderful day. Shout out to my members, Blazefire, Shooms, Shagad, Ravi Espa, Koga, Piconir, Jesse B, Dante Victory, CK, Prellman, J, and Blunt Poppy Supreme Oil Backwards. I appreciate you guys so much and have a great day.